Is that how they would locate each other, you know, for mating? Is it through odor?
It could be, in part. At least, I think what mainly happens is that a turtle will go to a likely spot, and the males are more active in the early spring than the females, and they move around. And I think a lot of times they recognize the female by color. You know, they recognize that it's their species by the particular color. I don't know, it just happens that on the cover of this book that I brought, and this book is available through Michigan State University.
Michigan Turtles and Lizards.
Would like to get a good guidebook to Michigan turtles. But this cover shows a spotted turtle.
That's a beautiful
picture.
picture.
And I think you can see, and again, I have no idea what the audience can see, but this spotted turtle has a bright yellow chin. And that shows me it's a female, because the males have brown chins. Now, if you can picture yourself as a turtle, kind of down low in this little marshy, boggy pond, and you're a male turtle looking for a female, well, you're down low, you got all this vegetation growing out of the water. How are you going to find that female? Well, we think that the females have the yellow chins, or the orange-yellow chins, because as they stick their heads out of the water, it's kind of like a beacon. You know, the male can look over there and say, oh, there's a female, I better go check this out. If it's a male, of course, it'll have a brown chin, and we assume that he'll then ignore that. So he's just keying in on that color.
So sight is important. Turtles must be able to see fairly well
They
then.
probably have pretty good eyesight. They may not have super sharp vision at real long distances, but they can certainly detect color and movement. Up close, research shows that they have some pretty good eyesight. They can discriminate between objects, and they've put them into test boxes and see if they can choose the right the right color to get a food reward or something.
What do they do over the winter?
Yes, we do have long winters here in Michigan, although January this year wasn't too bad. But turtles are cold-blooded. It doesn't mean they're cold all the time. It means that their body gets its heat from the outside rather than make its own heat like we do, and mammals and birds do. But the turtle, that's why you see turtles basking in the spring, because they're trying to raise their body temperatures up above the air temperature. But in the winter, there's just not enough sun and warmth, and the water's too cold, and so they have to become dormant. And most turtles go underwater. They go underneath the water, because water, as you know, because of the chemistry of water, doesn't freeze usually all the way to the bottom. If the pond is even just a couple of feet deep, there'll always be a little layer underneath there that isn't frozen. So the turtle goes under there. Their oxygen needs at those low temperatures are extremely low. What oxygen they do need, they can probably absorb from the water.
I mean, generally, turtles need to breathe.
Right,
generally. They use their nostrils. You see the little heads poking up in the river.
Yes, they have lungs.
It's just amazing to think they can last under, what must be for weeks then.
Yeah, weeks or months at a time. One thing I have noticed, though, is if we get a thaw in the wintertime, and the ice will start to melt off the edges of the lakes, turtles do take advantage of that. Even though their bodies are moving really slowly when they're cold, they will crawl up and try to get a breath of fresh air just to reoxygenate those tissues. But it is amazing. They can go for many, many weeks at very low oxygen levels. That's true, and probably good adaptation for them.
And let's see, the eggs overwinter, and you said the eggs, the nests are made in June?
Yeah, good question. In most turtles, like the wood turtle here, the egg will incubate for, as I said, 2.5, 3 months. So they'll usually hatch out in late August or September. And with the wood turtle and like with the box turtle, the babies will burrow up out of the ground and then find a place to live. Maybe they may have to burrow for the winter, but at least they're up and active in the fall. Whereas the painted turtle, in fact, one of the reasons why the painted turtle might be still common, whereas so many other turtles are endangered, is that the painted turtle has a little secret. The babies will hatch out underground in the nest. It's only about 6 inches under the ground. The babies will hatch out, but they won't emerge from the nest, and they stay under the nest all winter. It may get below freezing in that nest, and they have the ability to as the physicists say, to supercool. That is, as long as they're very still and they don't move around a lot, their bodies will not begin to form ice unless the temperature gets very low. So they can tolerate, temperatures around freezing or slightly below quite well. And then what that means is, instead of like a wood turtle, a baby wood turtle emerges into what I would call a declining climate. In other words, if they emerge in September, they may just have a couple of weeks to find a good place to, find the water and find a place to overwinter. Painted turtle emerges in April or May. And so it's a warming trend, and so they may have a better.
Could be an advantage for them.
Could be an advantage, yeah.
Turtles play kind of an interesting role in culture and in mythology.
Yes.
In fact, there are some that might say we're on the back of a giant turtle, or that's where the Earth came from.
Yes.
Or, and I know Mackinac Island, or there's some Native American legends that incorporate turtles. So, what does that say about turtles, that they appear in these, myths and legends of the past?
It is true. Polls, even of Americans, show that people generally have a favorable attitude towards turtles, unlike their fellow reptiles, the snakes, which also are neat animals and important in the environment. But snakes, get people a little bit more worked up. Turtles have a pretty favorable public, attitude. And except maybe, again, snapping turtles. People are a little worried about snapping turtles because they do bite to defend themselves. But I think the thing that really has attracted people of all cultures to the turtle as a symbol is the longevity of the animal. Turtles are known to be long-lived animals, and indeed they are. Mythology considers them very long-lived, and scientific research proves that they're very long-lived. A wood turtle doesn't even mature until it's 15 to 20 years old. And it may live till it's 40 or 50 years old, or even 100 years old. A close relative of the wood turtle that lives in the Kalamazoo area is the Blandings turtle. And the Blandings turtle has been known to still be laying fertile eggs at ages in the 80s.
Wow.
In fact, a fellow turtle researcher and friend of mine, Dr. Justin Congdon, who is associated with the University of Michigan, he and his colleagues did a big study of Blandings turtles, and he found out that, again, they don't mature until they're almost 20 years old, and then they have this long reproductive time. The take-home lesson about turtle longevity, though, I like to tell people that the neat thing is not that they can live long lives, it's that they must live long lives. And what I mean by that is turtles, a female turtle may mature when she's 10, 15, 20 years old, and she may lay a clutch of eggs every year or every other year for, say, 20 or 30 or 40 years. But the thing to remember is, you'd think we'd be up to our armpits in turtles, but so many things eat turtle eggs, especially raccoons, and so many things will eat baby turtles that very few of them grow up.
Well, Jim, we only have a few seconds left. Is there anything else we need to know about turtles back at home?
Well, so many things we could say.
If somebody wanted more information, they can get your book?
Yeah, we have this book out. It is available through the MSU Extension offices, or through, you can get it, for example, contact the MSU Museum bookstore or gift shop, and they have it. And there's
also, there's some web information on the state's website, which is at michigan.gov.
Yes,
and there are illustrations, and it looks like you took most of the pictures there.
I've contributed a lot of the photos. We have a poster, again, I don't know if we can see this, but there's a poster that the Department of Natural Resources has put out to help people identify turtles, and this is a part of the DNR poster on snakes, and so you can get them on snakes and frogs and other things. And if you contact the DNR, I think they will send you a gratis copy of the posters.
Well, thank you very much, Jim.
You're welcome.
We're out of time. It went fast. Thanks for watching my program, Current Events. This is State Senator Tom George.